The one step that could save your independence. Imagine walking across your kitchen floor, as you've done thousands of times, when your toe catches on nothing. Not a rug, not a crack, just the floor. In that instant, the world tilts. Your arms flail. Gravity takes over, and you're powerless to stop what happens next. Most people survive that fall. But for millions of older adults each year, that moment is the last moment of independence they will ever know. Here's what nobody tells you. That fall didn't start in the kitchen. It didn't start with the floor or bad luck. It started 6 months or a year earlier, in a pattern so subtle that neither you nor anyone who loves you noticed. That fall was decided by how you took the step before it, and the 10,000 steps you took without thinking. What if I told you that everything you believe about preventing falls is wrong? Not just incomplete, but actively wrong. The expensive shoes, the balance boards, the $1,000 grab bars, they all miss the single most powerful intervention that exists. And you already own it. It's not a gadget or a pill. It's one adjustment to a movement you've been doing wrong for years without knowing it. One change that can begin protecting you with your very next step. No equipment, no gym, no prescription. Just the truth about how your body was designed to move and why you stopped moving that way. I've spent over 2 decades working exclusively with adults over 70. I've watched this story play out in treatment rooms, hospitals, and homes more times than I can count. A patient arrives after a fall. They're confused, embarrassed. They say, "I was just walking. I wasn't doing anything unusual." And they're right. That's exactly the problem. The way they walk every day has quietly become one of the most dangerous movement habits the human body can adopt. And nobody ever told them. Until now. Let me paint a picture. Picture someone moving down a hallway. Their steps are shorter than they used to be, much shorter. Their feet barely clear the ground, sliding forward in a low, careful shuffle rather than lifting cleanly. Their upper body leans forward, their eyes fixed on the floor a few feet ahead. Their arms hang still. Every movement is guarded. This is called a shuffle gait, and it's one of the most common walking patterns I see in adults over 70. Here's what breaks my heart. This pattern doesn't appear overnight. It creeps in gradually. What starts as caution after a close call becomes a habit. The steps shorten. The feet stop lifting. The posture shifts forward. And what feels like careful, safe walking is actually your body quietly preparing for a fall with every single step. Here's the biomechanical reality. When your feet shuffle close to the ground, you eliminate the margin for error. Any irregularity, a rug edge, a crack, a slight rise, becomes an instant trip hazard. There's simply not enough clearance. And because your steps are short and your weight is pitched forward, the moment your toe catches something, your body has no time to recover. The fall happens before you even know you're falling. But the danger goes deeper. Shuffle gait is a signal, a loud, urgent signal, that the muscles responsible for lifting your legs, your hip flexors, glutes, and core, have weakened from underuse. The neurological connection between your brain and legs has slowed. Your body stopped asking those muscles to work, so they stopped responding. It's a vicious cycle that feeds on itself until walking becomes something you survive rather than something you do. Here's the truth that changes everything. Both of those things are reversible. The weakness, the neurological slowing, the loss of coordination, all of it can be rebuilt. And it starts with one single change. I want you to stand up right now, if you're able. Take a step. Pay attention to what part of your foot touches the ground first. If you're like most people over 70 who've been walking cautiously for years, your foot probably landed flat, or maybe even toe first. Now take another step, but this time reach your heel forward a few inches more than usual, and let it hit the ground first. Feel the difference. That is a heel strike, and it's how the human body was biomechanically designed to walk. When you were young and your gait was natural, your heel hit the ground first with every step. Your weight rolled forward through the arch, across the ball, and pushed off through your toes. It's a smooth, continuous rolling motion, one of the most efficient and stable movement patterns the human body produces. But as muscles weaken and confidence erodes, that heel strike disappears. The foot lands flat or toe first, shorter, lower, far less stable. We stop rolling through the foot. We stop pushing off. We start shuffling. And with every passing month, the muscles that produce a proper heel strike get weaker because they're simply not being asked to work. When you correct this one thing, when you return to a heel-first walking pattern, several things happen simultaneously. Your step length naturally increases, improving stability and forward momentum. Your foot clears the ground properly, eliminating the risk of catching on surface irregularities. Your posture automatically improves because the heel strike pulls your weight back and upright, out of that forward-leaning shuffle. And your hip flexors, glutes, and core are suddenly being asked to work again, rebuilding the very strength that protects you from falls. One change triggers a chain reaction throughout your entire body. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds too simple. How could something so basic make that much difference? Consider this. The average person takes 3,000 to 5,000 steps per day, more than 1 million per year. If each step is a shuffle, that's 1 million repetitions of a dangerous movement pattern. But if each step is a proper heel strike, that's 1 million repetitions of a protective pattern strengthening your body. Small changes, multiplied by thousands of daily repetitions, produce massive results over time, not through intensity, but through consistency. But I'll be honest, returning to a proper heel strike after years of shuffling is harder than it sounds. Not because it requires strength, but because it requires awareness. The neural pathway that produces a proper heel strike has faded from disuse. Your brain has forgotten how to tell your foot to land that way. You have to rebuild that connection consciously, repetition by repetition, until it becomes automatic again. Here's where targeted practice comes in. Exercise 1. The heel strike walk. Find a clear hallway or open space near a wall. Stand at one end with one hand lightly touching the wall for safety if needed. Begin walking, but think about nothing except your heel. With every step, consciously reach your heel slightly forward and let it land first. Feel the contact. Feel your weight roll through the foot. Feel your toes push off. Take 10 steps forward this way. Turn carefully using small marching steps and walk back. Move extremely slowly, almost in slow motion. Each phase of the step should be clearly felt and slightly exaggerated. Control matters more than speed. Your heel should touch with intention, not collapse. Your weight should shift gradually, not drop suddenly. This exercise isn't about distance or fitness. It's about re-educating your nervous system so walking becomes a controlled sequence again. Once this feels stable on a flat surface, try adding a balance challenge. Perform the same slow walk while lightly turning your head left and right. This trains your body to maintain stability even when attention is divided, much closer to real-life conditions, where you're carrying groceries, talking, checking your phone, or stepping over a pet toy. Your ability to maintain proper form despite distractions is what will actually save you. Exercise 2. Obstacle clearance. Place a low object on the floor, a rolled towel or small cushion. Stand in front of it and practice stepping over it slowly, 1 foot at a time, making sure your heel leads and your foot fully clears the object before landing. Alternate legs for 10-15 repetitions. Lift your knee first, then extend the heel forward and place it down with control. Don't rush. Clearance matters more than speed. In the real world, you don't get a warning before you trip. Your brain must detect the obstacle, lift the foot high enough, and land safely, all in a fraction of a second. This exercise trains that sequence. As confidence improves, you can slightly increase obstacle height, but only within a safe range. If you practice these exercises consistently, you're not just exercising, you're rebuilding the entire walking system: strength, coordination, balance, and neural control. The goal is for heel strike walking to become automatic again. Once your walking becomes stable, everything else, confidence, independence, and fall prevention, follows naturally. But I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't address the elephant in the room. Most of you watching have already started to shuffle. You've felt your balance waver. You've had a close call or two. Some of you have already fallen and are terrified of it happening again. I want you to know that fear is not weakness. It's wisdom. Your body is telling you something has changed. The system isn't working the way it used to. That message deserves to be heard and responded to. But it does not mean you should stop moving, walk more slowly, or retreat from the world. That's the exact opposite of what your body needs. Your body needs to be reminded of what it was designed to do. It needs to be shown, step by step, that stability is still possible. Think about the alternative. The CDC estimates that 1 in 4 Americans over 65 falls each year. Less than half tell their doctor. Millions of older adults are living with the consequences: loss of independence, chronic pain, constant fear, without seeking help. They quietly retreat from activities they love because they no longer trust their own bodies. I've seen patients who stopped going to church, visiting grandchildren, or leaving their homes except for medical appointments because the world outside felt too dangerous. Every time, the tragedy wasn't the fall they had. It was the life they gave up to avoid a fall that might never happen. Let me tell you about Robert. He was 78 when he walked into my clinic. His wife made the appointment after she watched him catch himself on the kitchen counter 3 times in 1 week. He walked in with a shuffle so pronounced I could hear it from across the room, stooped forward, dragging his feet, staring at the floor. He hadn't walked more than 100 feet without holding on to something in over 2 years. He'd stopped going to his coffee shop, walking his dog, almost everything that mattered. He was convinced his walking days were over. We started with the heel strike. Over the next few weeks, we added slow motion practice and obstacle drills. It wasn't dramatic, just a few minutes of deliberate practice every day. Robert did it consistently, not because he was motivated, but because he was afraid. He'd reached the point where his fear of falling became greater than his resistance to change. That fear, properly directed, became his greatest asset. 3 months later, Robert walked into my office without his cane. His gait was slower than in his prime, but stable. His head was up, his feet were lifting. He was rolling through his steps with a heel strike so natural I almost couldn't see the training behind it. He told me he'd walked to the coffee shop that morning, a full half-mile each way. And, standing in line, he realized he wasn't thinking about falling. For the first time in years, walking had become just walking again. Robert's story isn't unique. I've seen this transformation hundreds of times, not because these patients were extraordinary, but because they made one simple change and stuck with it long enough for their bodies to remember what they were capable of. The human body is incredibly resilient. It wants to be stable, to move, to be independent. It just needs to be reminded of how. Now, let's talk about the hard part. I know some of you are thinking about practical barriers. Bad knees, arthritic hips, plantar fasciitis, back problems. Hear me clearly. None of these are reasons to give up. They are reasons to adapt. There's a version of this work that fits where your body is right now. The starting point may be more modest, 5 steps instead of 10, seated heel strikes while watching TV, practicing the stepping motion while holding a counter with both hands. The starting point doesn't matter. Only the direction does. If you've had a recent hip or knee replacement, or if you're being treated for plantar fasciitis or any heel condition, or if your doctor has advised against weight-bearing exercise, speak with your physician or physical therapist before attempting these movements. Some exercises may need modification, but those consultations aren't barriers, they're the path to safe progress. A good physical therapist can help you find a version that fits your limitations while still moving you forward. Safety comes first, but safety doesn't mean surrender. Always practice near a wall, counter, or sturdy chair. Never rush. Wear non-slip footwear or go barefoot on a safe surface. If at any point you feel sharp pain, dizziness, or anything wrong, stop immediately. Progress at your own pace and trust your body to tell you when it's ready for more. Here's what I want you to take away. The shuffle gait that creeps in with age is not the natural decline of the human body. It's a learned pattern, a bad habit, a response to fear that became routine. And because it was learned, it can be unlearned. The neural pathways for a proper heel strike haven't been destroyed. They've just been dormant. They're waiting for the signal to wake up again. You can give them that signal with your very next step. When practiced consistently, not perfectly, but consistently, the changes are real and lasting. The fear of falling begins to ease. Nighttime ankle pain subsides. The uncertainty in your first steps of the morning resolves more quickly. Balance improves, not through intensity, but through patience and repetition. Small movements done daily send a clearer message to your nervous system than aggressive workouts done once a week. The long-term benefit reaches far beyond physical comfort. Strong legs and stable walking patterns protect your balance, reduce fear, and preserve the ability to walk to your mailbox, climb stairs, play with grandchildren, and move through daily life without constantly wondering if your legs will hold you. That kind of independence isn't a small thing. It's everything. Aging does not mean surrendering control over how your body feels. It means learning which movements your body truly needs at this stage and choosing them every day with care and intention. These exercises are that choice, simple, safe, and powerful in ways that add up over weeks and months. So here's my challenge to you. Your next step is a choice. You can take it exactly as you've been taking steps for years, barely clearing the ground, leaning forward, shuffling toward the future with guarded fear. Or you can take it with intention, heel first, head up, certain that stability is still possible. That first step might feel strange, unnatural, but that's exactly what change feels like. Your body needs practice to learn what you're asking of it, and it will learn, because it was designed for this, and all it ever needed was someone to show you the way.